Hi, guys, and welcome to ILO on Location, the podcast, where I go on location and chat with my amazing friends, fabulous women who inspire me for so many reasons and hopefully will inspire you. I'm your host, Irene Cara-Sloper, and today we are celebrating the amazing Lisa Stevens. She's an international artist with multiple awards and nominations for her incredible work as a director and a choreographer. She's an A-list woman in the arts who's in demand all over the world. And when I say awards and nominations, I'm including the Emmys and the Tonys. And when I say in demand all over the world, I'm including cities like New York, Los Angeles, London, Vancouver, Toronto, San Francisco, not to mention all the national and international tours she's part of. She is a celebrated performer, working in all mediums, on stage and in front of the camera. And if she's not busy directing and choreographing musicals, Lisa's very busy working as an intimacy director and intimacy choreographer, bringing her incredible talents and her experience to this important position in the entertainment industry, supporting artists and production teams to feel safe and protected within the intimacy of the scene. Lisa is stunning, both inside and out, and she's doing the work, living it and loving it every step of the way. Please enjoy my chat with Lisa Stevens. Oh my God, let me get a screen grab of us because we're so fucking cute. Hold on a second. We are so adorable. We'll save this for Tara. Hold on a minute. Smile. Done. I got it. Oh my God. Yeah, I've had to put my Diva sweatshirt on for you and my Oprah cup because you're so, like, it's so A-list that I needed to bring all my power, and Charlotte's beside me too. Every time I talk to Tara, I say, oh, how's Lisa? Because she always has a fabulous fucking story. And of course, she's like, oh my God, she's directing and choreographing here. She was just there. And I'm just like, wow, you are so busy. It's so amazing, but we could still make time to connect today.
Of course we can, because this is what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
You know, relationships and connection.
Yeah. Well, when I was doing the prep for you today, you know, when we know each other, you know a bit about each other, but doing the research on you was really amazing and fascinating. So when I do our little intro, which I might as well get started, I was like, I don't know how to pare it down. So I'm just going to kind of do broad strokes and then go from there.
Oh,
so,
I can't wait to hear it.
Oh my God, amazing. Okay, so why don't we get started? Everyone, welcome to ILO on Location, the podcast. I normally would be on location this year, 2023, but because my international star guest is not in Vancouver, I have the amazing Lisa Stevens. So welcome to Lisa Stevens, International Emmy Award nominated director and choreographer who works all over the world. Her credits alone could fill a phone book. I am not joking. She has worked on Broadway. She has worked in the West End in London. She has worked on multiple US and international tours as a director and a choreographer. In addition to her directing and choreography, she is a performer. She's a beautiful dancer, an amazing singer and actress, one of the original West End cast of Chicago, the musical. She was featured in musical films like Phantom of the Opera, Joseph and the Amazing Color, Technicolor Dreamcoat, Rumble in the Bronx. In addition to her acting, her directing, her choreography, she has now added a new tool to her career as an intimacy choreographer and an intimacy director, already booked and busy in the Canadian Opera. She is international all over the world. And two things we will talk about today, because I have to make time, is that she performed for Our Majesty the Queen at the Palace Theatre in England. And she has had the pleasure of working with Sharon fucking Stone in Bollywood cowboy. So I just want to start with a little bit of that and say, we're going to try and talk about all her career, even though it's impossible because it's so freaking giant. So as she's putting her sweatshirt over her mouth, totally embarrassed probably because she's so amazing in A-list, we are celebrating this fierce woman who's an amazing woman. She's amazing lady boss. She's amazing friend, lifelong friendships with people like Tara McLeod. She's so respected in the industry and so talented. She's also a fur baby mummy. Please welcome the amazing Lisa Stevens.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Right?
You know what? That last part almost made me cry.
Well, it's true.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And that I didn't even name credits and awards. And I've got an outline for us, so I can stay on track because of your career and how full it is. And that you still manage amazing relationships with friends and family and loved ones, which is incredible.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I have to thank my mother for all those lessons now, because when you list it like this, it sounds like I've been doing it for a long time, which I have.
Right?
But thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Mommy, for sticking with me.
I mean, it's kind of interesting when you have someone else tell you how fabulous you are and you forget because you're in it. You're busy. I mean, Lisa.
Well, it's hard to hear because you don't think of yourself that way. I'm just, I'm doing the work and I'm enjoying it along the way.
Yeah, which is amazing. And so today, like I said, we're international on Zoom because I said to Lisa when we first said hello, by the way, we're both having coffee. We're both super cute in our headphones and glasses. I've got my Diva sweatshirt on, my Oprah cup. And I said to Lisa, I'm like, well, where are you? Because you're either in your place in New York, your home, or you're in Philadelphia because you're choreographing and directing Margaritaville, the musical, or you're out east because you're directing and choreographing Fiddler on the Roof for Drayton. It's like, where are you? And Lisa's like, oh.
Yeah. I'm all of it. Actually, all of it at the same time.
Amazing. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. I kind of like to start the podcast just so our listeners can go, Lisa, Irene, how do you know each other? So I know for us, obviously, I've known you through word of mouth and through our dear friend, Tara C. McLeod, but you and I originally met and got the chance to work together and become friends on the amazing musical, The Arts Club Theater that you choreographed and associate director called In the Heights. Am I correct?
In the Heights.
That?
Oh, yeah. That was the Canadian premiere because they had just released the rights. We were the first to do it in Vancouver.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah, it was
production.
a good show.
Oh,
and you know
God,
what I love?
was it?
I love about it is that the cast still keep in touch.
We do.
I know. So much love.
That was a magical show, I know, for so many reasons, because there was a lot of us who were just so excited to be there and be in that show. We're all huge fans. I saw it on Broadway. You saw it on Broadway. And tell me just real quick, I feel like you brought that. You were responsible for that production coming to Vancouver. Did you pitch that and offer that?
I did because, I'd always wanted to work on something that was more contemporary and pitched it, I think, as it was. It hadn't been released to the public yet, but, I told the Arts Club that we should take a risk and venture out and do this.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is it good storytelling, but we were ahead of the curve with being inclusive and diverse and telling a story that was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy they picked that up and said, yeah, let's go for it.
Oh my God, me too. And you were so right with the cast still being in touch and all friends and that experience. I mean, I just want to tell everybody. So Irene is not a dancer, but she moves well. And Tara said, oh my God, it's Lisa Stevens. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Lisa Stevens. Day one of rehearsal, and you had this giant binder and right into it. And we started rehearsals and you're already communicating with movement and you had a vision. It was like your prep. I'm imagining it's like you said, you're working on so many shows at one time. As a choreographer, tell me just a teeny little bit. How do you prepare for such a physical show as that and all your shows?
Sure. Well, So choreography, my prep for that is much different than if I'm directing something or if I'm directing and choreographing something. For choreography, my commitment to supporting the director's vision is number one. So I spend a lot of time, if the director works that way and has a vision and a story they want to tell from whatever angle or tone, I'll chat with them about that sort of, that aspect, that angle. And then from there, design the choreography with that kind of sensibility. So from there, I listen to the music 100 times. I read the script. I make little notes. I want to know what the overall story is. And then what are the beats within the choreography that I have to hit story wise to make sense of what comes before and after. For me, there aren't many numbers where it's just presentational dance. It's got to have some sort of emotional impact, or like I want to teach the audience something, and I want to keep moving it forward. And this I learned from watching Jerry Mitchell's stuff. He's so good at finding comedy and surprises in his numbers, things that were unexpected. And for me, that's one of the things that I appreciate about his work so much, is that he's constantly surprising me with how clever his work is in the comedic sense. So, I try to emulate that, is find 3 things per number that are either a chuckle, amusing, or the audience would go, oh, that's clever.
That's amazing, because you work, when you have such a big cast in the Heights, I can't remember, 25, 20. And then you have characters, let's say for me, who can kind of shake and shimmy and move over here. You have to find moves and choreography that blend everybody. And like you say, or also just make someone look good and then join the line in the final number.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's tricky is, usually you cast these things 6 months out or 7 months out. So you have ideas at the time, this person would be great for this role. I'm going to explore them a little bit more when we're in the room. But then when we get to the room, you've done 2, 3, 4 things since then.
Yeah.
And you forgot. So, you have to very quickly ascertain what are these actors' strengths. But one of the good things about working with actors is many of the times people are so, giving and extroverted in the way that they can share and make offers that really help determine what those moves are going to be and what the vocabulary is. Like, for example, for you, your physicality and the way that you move and speak it's comedy driven. So, I would look at you in the way you would move and then shape a role. So, what's coming from you naturally works well within the role.
And then gets enhanced. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad we had the pleasure of meeting on that show. God bless that experience. And one of all of ours really favorite, incredible memories. You ask anybody that did that show, it's forever a piece of our hearts with thanks to you on that for making everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Lisa, I want to move over to a show which I think is probably special to your heart, called Bombay Dreams, because I think that's something you sort of created, and your team won the Olivier Award, and you were nominated for a Tony Award for his best choreography, and you kind of started it and followed it and toured with it in quite a substantial company. Is that a story or something you can share on that experience?
Yeah. And, that was pivotal in helping me move from a performer to a choreographer. I was really lucky to be in the right place at the right time for that. I was living in England and I had done Chicago and hadn't gone back to the West End for a while. I was exploring other mediums of the arts. And a friend of mine who was one of the choreographers on that show, Anthony Van Last, he reached out and he said, "Hey, your parents are from India, aren't they?" And I said, yeah. They were both born there, brought up there. They speak the language. Our family at home follows in a lot of the cultural aspects, and went on to discuss Bollywood and this new show that was being developed. And I was brought in at first to help out with the auditions. And as we were auditioning people, Anthony said, look, it would be really helpful if you could come on board with this and be our associate director and associate choreographer and dance captain and swing the show.
Wow, it's a lot.
That was a lot of fun. That show ended up doing a replication on Broadway. Wow. And I was asked to go over and help cast it and mount that. Amazing. And then from there, after that closed, Theater Under the Stars in Atlanta, the Fox Theater, wanted to do a tour of it. And they talked to me about choreographing it, and Björk Lee, the wondrous Björk Lee, who was Michael Bennett's right-hand woman.
Wow.
And who now owns the estate of Chorus Line.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's directing. And so together we created the national tour of Bombay Dreams. But what was fun about that is I was told that I couldn't replicate any of the choreography that existed.
Oh my God.
You know, there are some steps that exist out in public domain because of certain styles, like within the Bhangra and stuff like that. So I created with the help of a lot of resources. My mother was a big help here, created the choreography for Bombay Dreams, the tour, which did quite well considering it was something that hadn't been done before as far as, ethnic shows.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was kind of the lead into other types of shows like Hamilton. I don't want to say we were the lead into Hamilton.
No, but different movements. Yes. Different dance styles, different movements and different vision for the other shows that you've choreographed and direct, like, the Mamma Mia is also nominated and award winning, and Xanadu and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and all these shows. But the Bombay Dreams with the whole Bollywood is a different style, I'm sure, for many people to see, which was obviously why it was Tony nominated and Olivia award winning, because it was so special. No, baby, don't you. No, baby, don't you. That must have been interesting if that was one of the shows that progressed your career into choreography. Incredible. So when you had that experience of the tour and the show, did you find yourself now drawn into the storytelling of the choreography that pushed you forward did you focus in that avenue a little more from that?
Well, at that time, I do have to say I was pretty confident as a choreographer, more than I should have been, because, I was lucky. And a lot of the shows that I had been involved with were either hits or successes or received accolades. And so I was riding on that kind of confidence. Yes. But I wasn't really too dialed into the storytelling at that time. Okay. I was more concerned about entertaining audiences. It wasn't until much later until I was knocked off my pedestal, which was probably the greatest gift that could have ever happened to me, even though it was humiliating and mortifying, and I almost quit the business because of it. That was the moment that made me dig deep and say, okay, I need to actually really look at how to structure choreography and storytelling and dramaturgy. And what is the formula here? What is my voice? And then, once I recovered from the humiliation, and that's funny, I can talk about that now without cringing. Thank you. Because it was an important part of my life and career that happened. So I think I'm now a better storyteller and artist because of that experience. And I'm grateful that came early on in my career and not later, because I think you build momentum upon reputation. So I was green enough and young enough to not have established myself yet. And these every artist and most humans, but you have these life experiences where you do get knocked down, or you have an experience where you're embarrassed. But any artist knows, or anyone in the business for longevity, you pick yourself right back up, you accept the mistake, or you find the positivity in the mistake and you push forward. And that's kind of what builds your strength in the industry, because anybody coming up in an industry, there's no guarantee of
work or success ever. You can be at the top of your game and still get knocked down. So if you don't build that muscle mentally, emotionally, and physically to push through, and everyone's got that story because you're drawn to it and you go, okay, I'm young enough and mature enough to take that as a learning experience, which again is a testament to your career and just how you've just built block, and continue to rise, and then expand your ability. Because, when you're a choreographer and as you say, you're hired to bring the vision of the director in most projects, then you take your career to that next step as the director. So where did that kind of transpire? Because, you've done so many shows, Lisa. It's like, it's incredible. Like the Xanadus, the Greases, the Elves, the Guys and Dolls, like when in which did you say, you know what? I want to create the full vision and either hire a choreographer or do both. Where did that confidence and self-esteem to say, I'm going to go for it?
Well, I've been lucky to work with directors that have been inspiring. The very first director I worked with in a professional environment was Michael Shimada. And yeah, he's lovely. And he is, I love his process. I love the exploration he does with the actors. I love how he uses his words to elicit a deep, considered response. So the actors are vested, and it's this amazing bond that is created and trust. And I loved watching him. I was mesmerized by it. And I thought, wow, I want to be able to connect with people like that. Wow. And to tell a story that way, finding other people's points of view and fusing it with my own and creating something bigger and better than was originally intended. But I was always afraid to do it because I saw how much work was involved with direction. And for me, choreography took up 100% of my time. So I just thought, how can I do both? How can I wear both hats and give them both justice? So it wasn't until I saw a show on Broadway called Pal Joey, and it was directed and choreographed by Graciela Daniel.
Yeah. Oh my God. On Broadway, Pal Joey.
Yeah, on Broadway. And I found that the direction, her point of view was so strong and bold, and I loved the way she put it together. So I went home and I wrote her a fan letter and I sent it to her agent, and her agent passed it on. And I got an email back from her saying, because I also explained that I would love to be a director and, as a woman in this business and I'm coming up on some challenges, and also like, how do you do both? And so she invited me for tea.
Oh my God.
At her place in New York. And I went, and tea turned into lunch, and I was there for about 4 hours, and she imparted some incredible wisdom to me. And from that moment, I believed that I could do both. It was really special.
What was her name again?
Graciela. Graciela Daniel, yeah.
Oh my God. So you were invited, again, women supporting women, which you see all the time. And even when I reached out to you, hey, I want to talk to you about intimacy coordinating. We're going to get you instantly. Great. No problem. Book it. I can't wait. Like women supporting women. God bless it. We are all there to help each other. And for her to take the time to feed your confidence, inspire you, and share to learn. What an experience.
Yeah, she actually, she worked very closely with Bob Fosse, and her husband was actually his lighting designer, his favorite lighting designer. So they were around each other all the time. And she learned a lot from him and passed on to me some of the advice that he had given to her.
Right.
So, it was very special because I felt like the spirit of Bob Fosse was, having tea with us, and I was hearing this from his mouth. So, that was incredible. But she made it sound and seem very doable and seamless. And, when you're director, choreographer, it's one voice, and you just surround yourself with, supportive, brilliant people, and don't be afraid to use your team and ask questions and fail and try and be vulnerable, and don't don't pretend you know everything, because you really don't.
Right.
So,
Great advice.
And also from like working with Jeff Calhoun, I'm so impressed with, when we're in production meetings, he will always turn to someone and say, this is your department. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about this. You're the expert. Please help me.
Amazing.
And I love that way of working, that you just invite people to be a part of this experience. So I working on Margaritaville, Escape to Margaritaville right now. The designer is amazing. There's costume designer, props, the production manager. It really is it's a team effort for sure.
Do you find yourself drawn to one or the other now, or do you find yourself drawn to a particular show, city, company? How do you now prioritize, particularly the director choreography route of your choices? How do you make those choices now?
Well, I only work on material that I believe in and relate to. Part of I talked about before about this one experience that knocked me off my pedestal, and I really should have listened to my gut telling me that this wasn't the right show for me, because I didn't relate to it. I didn't believe in it. And because of those things, I didn't know how to work on it. Because if you don't trust the material, how can you trust what you're doing?
Right. Thank you.
And it showed on stage. I have to say it, because it just wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And I paid for it. I paid for that lesson.
Sure. And you learned it once and you never did it again, I'm sure. Like if you're saying you're now drawn to the material and the stories.
Yeah. And even sometimes there's a story out there that I want to tell, but it's not my story or my place to tell it. So I have to also pass from that perspective as well.
Right. No, baby, don't you. So now when you are independent contractor out in your world, I think most of us go from company to company. Do you now pick your season and sort of present to theater companies around the world in the cities and build your season? Or do you wait and see for someone to say, hey, Lisa, you're perfect for this, your point of view and your craft, please come join us in the director choreography world?
Well, usually, so maybe 10 years ago, I would reach out to artistic directors at theaters that I wanted to work at, but they book their creatives a year out, maybe more. Okay. So as it happens now, when I'm working on a show, I'll receive an availability check from a theater company for something that's a year from now.
Oh my God.
So what's nice is that my schedule is evolving now. So even though I don't know what I'm going to be doing, end of 2004, 2025, I'm hoping that there's this momentum and theaters that I enjoy working at, I will continue to work at. And that's
incredible. Because of your experience and your reputation. And for you now, I go, wow, how does a woman like Lisa, who, when you say booked in advance, which is incredible, that's a gift, and God bless that you have built your career. However, you decide, I'm going to throw another tool in my toolbox and I'm going to train in a new and a more popular medium that's come out over the movement of the last, 3 or 4 years of intimacy coordinator, intimacy director. This is not a term that I don't think was popular in, let's say, 10 years ago. You didn't know about it. And in fact, I'd never even been on set or a theater working with it. But there's a new avenue to your career. What made you decided you to add that to your toolkit when you're so freaking busy already? And what is that exactly in the industry now? And how did that come into play?
Okay, so I'll make this as succinct as I can. During the lockdown, I was actually going on walks with a friend of mine, and we were trying to find stuff for one another to do, like take a course. What are you doing?
Yes.
What can we do to keep our minds active and also still be, supportive of the community and the arts? And she had explained that this role existed, and she knew a few people who were committed to becoming qualified. And so I thought this was really interesting and researched a little bit. And the more I researched this role and how it supports actors in all departments, really, and the director, I felt like, wow, like where has this been all my life? Like where was this when I was an actress and 21 years old and told that I was going to be playing prostitute number one, And of course I say yes, because it's building the CV and it's a moment on screen, but you're scared to death. And where was this role when I did a Romeo scene with a stranger and was involved with making out with them 6, 7, 8 takes? And then left with all these feelings afterwards that I didn't know what to do with,
Yes.
Where was this rule when I was doing Joseph, when we were asked to just wear pasties and a G-string in front of an entire male crew who couldn't help but watch us writhe around one another? Completely unprotected young women. So this role made a lot of sense to me in being able to move forward in this industry in a way that supports the storytelling, but in a container of consent and in a container of establishing people's boundaries as it pertains to their culture, their gender, their experience, their lack of experience. And once all of that is in place, then it's so much easier and safer to even improvise within that container because the actors have each other's back. And everybody is on the same page as to what can be shown on film, what can't, and then how it relates to stage. What kind of choreography, movement, touch is sustainable over a long period of time, and being able to sustain mental wellness.
Thank you. Mental wellness for comfort and vulnerability, because you're so vulnerable. I would imagine, I haven't ever been naked or anything, but I can imagine you're vulnerable and you're nervous, and if there's no protection there, and then when you have that role of a protector and an advisor, it must free up the actors even more so, perhaps, to take those scenes in those directions.
Absolutely.
When you say, so for the chorus, or how does something like that work? Do you look online, and is it through SAG or Equity, or what step did you take?
The types of courses that I took were based on SAG-AFTRA's best practices for work with like nudity, inferred nudity, sensitive or traumatic material. And so, that included courses in mental health first aid, psychological first aid, nonviolent communication, bystander intervention. It's helpful to know about anatomy and physiology, first responder experience to deal with trauma. I mean, we're not therapists, but, we do have tools to be able to direct someone to the right department that can help. Or we have tools for actors where they can tap in or out, they can drop into a character and do that safely and come out of it quickly, so they're not carrying on to that kind of stuff. And then from there, you progress into other courses like sex positive courses, LGBTQIA+, allyship. What does queer simulated sex look like? How do cultures and gender apply to all of this? What does that look like? And then how do you choreograph something like this in a way that makes it less awkward, can desexualize language, and gives the actors agency to be able to say, this really isn't comfortable for me. I'm not able to do my best work. Can we find an option? Yes, we can. And then, of course, what you want to do ultimately is be able to follow the director's storytelling and vision as closely as possible, so no one feels like you're policing. You're there to enhance. So that's it in a nutshell.
I mean, this is what's amazing, is because, of course, people think, oh yeah, I just want to do this in the industry, or I just want to be I'm going to become this. Don't just decide, one day I'm going to be this. You have this all your years as a director in a choreography to enhance this new role as an intimacy coordinator and director? Because when you just describe the areas you had to expand your education and knowledge, sex therapy, gender, all that stuff, then you already have in place these tools of being able to communicate with artists as a director and a choreographer. And now this other avenue, you must feel even more skilled now to go in and work with artists and companies because you have all sides of this education to offer.
Well, it definitely has impacted the way I work as a director choreographer now, and even as a teacher, because, I'm far more aware of my language, about respecting people's, what they're coming to the table with, and working within whatever boundaries they have, and in a way that is sustainable. Like, I don't like to make a big deal out of it. Let's just put these practices into our process and make them rote, and then we can do them easily every time we come into the rehearsal room. But definitely it has changed the way I work with people, how I see people. I respect where they're coming from. And I'm highly aware of what they're bringing to the table. So, yeah, it's been a real eye-opening experience. It's been tricky at times being on set, and because everybody in every situation is unique. Right. So, two scenes, two individuals. I mean, it's never going to be the same twice. So it's, it's a lot of thinking of on the feet and being calm and collected during those times. And it's pretty remarkable. It's not easy, I have to say.
No, I would imagine it's not, because when one thing in the theater, you add this tool to your toolkit and you're already working or worked with the Canadian Opera and the theater and the intimacy coordinator role. I can imagine that certain theaters and productions require this role of an intimacy coordinator, and then other shows probably don't. So it's not like every theatrical production is going to have this role. However, when you move into the film, television, on set world, anybody who's been on set for 2 minutes, it is intense. It's intimidating. You have to already be confident even to be on set, because everybody is moving at such a speed. And they're only focused on their department and want to get the shot. And here you are in what I think is probably more of the vulnerable part of the shoot, with actors being vulnerable in the intimacy. You need to take the time. You want to talk to your actors and talk the scene through. You must have extra confidence to take the time.
Yes, it does take time, but what we try to do is front load it all before we get onto set. So that means all the prep work is done prior to, because, as you say, there's a feeling of urgency. Time is money is on set. We want to move as quickly as possible, but at the same time be mindful of what we're doing. So in order to achieve that, I will have it, and everybody does this differently. This is just my process, is I will talk to the director ahead of time. Sometimes I will talk to the showrunner. I'll talk to the different departments, like costume or wardrobe, to ask if they have modesty wear in their possession, anything to support the actor. I do actor intakes to find out if they have been talked to about the scene and if they have any concerns. I ask for rehearsal time so we can pre-choreograph and block all this stuff and then show it to the director. Are you happy with this? And then so by the time we get to set, there's been time allotted for the actors to get into their modesty wear if they need it, that they understand the writers that have their nudity or simulated sex or a simulated sexual act clauses in it. And so by the time we get to blocking, camera rehearsal, and shooting, it just flows. So the more you can have strong communication up front before you even get to set about, this is the time that I need, and this is how it will save you money and time in the future, they'll say, okay, do it. And then it goes fairly smoothly on set. You don't usually see things stray too far from what's already been signed off on their rider. So you work within that container.
And I would imagine those are things that you learn in the courses to become qualified and now you have your process, and that is what you will bring to the table when you are hired out. And, for most people that come into the industry, and usually you need representative to get work. If you're wanting to be a professional actor, 99.9% you need an agent. Again, back to stemming to your relationships that are long-term, and you have amazing management. You have the DaCosta team in Toronto and in Vancouver, as well as your New York team. When you become qualified as a intimacy coordinator and you are an international choreographer and director and a performer, how does that work for you to get work? Is it always through the agent, or are you in like your theater generating and reaching out and planning your own schedule? Is the intimacy coordinating and directing in the film and television world more through the agent or through your own business, self-made business, Lisa?
Well, in the intimacy world, I think it's really about momentum. You make friends with the first AD, and if they like the way that you're working with them, then they can recommend you to their, somebody that they know that's doing this series or this feature. Right. And then they get in touch. And then usually I give that then after we have our initial discussion. And if it's something that I feel like I can be of support with, because sometimes I'm not the right person for the job. I don't know enough about this particular area of intimacy to be authentic in the room with you. So I would suggest this person who does. So if I do accept the work, then I take it over to the agent and they do the negotiation, all the logistics.
Yeah, right.
And then for direction and choreography, it really depends. Like with this particular show, Margaritaville, the theater reached out to my agent in New York with an availability check first. That goes through him. But many of the times it will just come to me because I have these relationships.
You have the connections.
But I'll always give it to my agent to negotiate because that's the right thing to do. I want to keep that trust in the relationship going because that's a long-term relationship that partnership.
I think that's amazing. It's so exciting to see all the avenues of the industry and all the successes that one can have in multiple avenues of the industry, and how you always mention and circle back to authenticity and the connection to the work that draws you to say yes, because you are so into men. And I think that's a blessing. And they're so lucky that you don't have to say yes because you have options, which is another thing I think actors and artists need to learn, is if you build your toolbox, you don't have to just say yes. If you don't feel connected to it, if you have the chance to build such a foundation that you have in your career.
Well, and as students of being an actor, you were taught by your teachers to always say yes. Yeah. But I think it's more important to have integrity. If you don't connect to a part, if you don't feel comfortable, if you're sitting on the spectrum of if there's a yes and a no, you have to ask yourself, why do I feel uncomfortable? Do I feel uncomfortable just because I'm nervous? But I think this would be good for me to learn this skill, or do I feel uncomfortable because this is triggering me somehow? It's important to know where those feelings are coming from. And then go with your gut, because there'll always be more work, and you shouldn't compromise your mental wellness. And you'll be, happier in the end when you're working on things that are challenging you in a positive way, or if you're just passionate about
it. Do you ever find that when you do shows like 9 to 5 and from Dolly, all this, do you ever find like, I think I'm going to direct and I'm going to put myself in the show? Or,
oh my gosh,
because of your singing and dancing and performance career, do you ever find yourself in that pickle going, gosh, you know what, I'm going to say no because I actually want this role? Because sometimes you see people directing a movie. Bradley Cooper, puts himself in the starring role. Thank you.
There's a lot of executive producers that are also in the movies. Talk about power dynamics there. But I don't know. I've always been I don't think that I would do that.
No,
I mean, I
okay.
would probably entertain the idea in kind of a fantasy way, but
Yeah.
I don't know how you can be in the show and then have an outside eye as
Yeah,
well.
I don't either. I think it'd be impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would make it the me show.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, and you probably know anyways the tracks to everything anyways, because you are the director, because you're the choreographer. It's like, if God forbid someone broke an ankle, you'd probably be like, okay, the understudy's sick, so I'll just do the whole show, but
well, the only time it happened was so when I was living in England and I was choreographing for a pop artist. He was really like hot at the time. His name was Kavanagh, and he just won the Smash Hit Awards. He was on Top of the Pops. It's not on anymore. But I had choreographed his tour, and I think they were in Barcelona, and I got a call saying, one of the dancers was out, and can you come in and fill the spot? Oh my gosh. I went in. Oh my gosh. I think how old was I? I guess I was in my early 30s, and I was on the stage with these 19-year-olds just living my best life in this, football arena.
Oh my God. You got your pop star. You were in your dream doing the pop. Wow.
Yeah. That was amazing.
No, baby, don't you?
Guys, since I don't have any sponsors, I thought I would use this opportunity to bring awareness to a cause that's close to my heart: mental health. Do you battle depression or suffer from mental health? Are you looking for help or to help? Then let me share with you 2 great websites full of resources and information for whatever your needs are, for yourself or for someone you care about. CallTimeMentalHealth.com is created by BC's motion picture industry unions, and healthlinkbc.ca/mental health, part of our BC medical system. No matter who you are or how you're feeling, you're not alone, and there is help out there. CallTimeMentalHealth.com and healthlinkbc.ca/mental health.
No, baby, don't you? No, baby, don't you?
You must have so many memories. I use an example. I've used it before. I'll use it time and time again. If I'm having a down day or I'm feeling a little down, I just throw in a CD. I could throw in a Danielle. I could throw in a Mamma Mia, and I can lift my heart. You feel good, feel better after belting out a song by myself. You must have so many memories and experiences where you can draw upon to lift your spirits, or be at a dinner party that's boring and tell fabulous stories because of your international career. I mean, Lisa, who can say, we'll get to Sharon Stone in a second, but for the love of Jesus, who can say they have performed for the Majesty, our Queen? Could you please share the story of God bless our Queen in heaven now? And when you say you're in London and you go on as a pop star, just tell us the Palace Theatre in England and what that story was. And
so every year, the Royals invite shows that are either new to the West End or to comedians or to artists. They select who they invite to come into their space. It's called the Royal Variety Performance. And it's by High Command of the Queen, you have been invited to perform at the Royal Variety Performance. And so it's televised also. And the Royals sit up in the box and you perform, and there's a large audience there. It's one night. So I was lucky that I was able to perform for the Royals 4 times.
What?
And
4 times?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So once with Chicago, the musical, we were asked to perform a medley for them. And I think that was for Queen Elizabeth, for Prince Philip. And then we did another year, we did something from Bombay Dreams. And I think that was for, that must have been Charles and Diana. And I think maybe Prince Andrew was there as well. And then the 2 other times I was asked to be a Royal Variety dancer.
Oh, wow. Wow. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was very special.
I was going to say with that, she's watching, you're getting to perform. It doesn't get to be a bigger audience than the Royals. And
And you
wow.
also do the lineup. So, you're standing in a line and they're walking by you and you shake their hand or,
You meet them
curtsy.
too?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And we have a
Oh,
conversation with them.
no.
So, yeah. Yeah, I know. It's very surreal. Yeah, we
Well,
get to
I
meet them
mean,
before, and then afterwards,
wow.
you do after you finish your performance, you curtsy to the Royals first up in the balcony, and then you bow to the audience.
Well, I mean, I didn't even know that could be a thing, and now sure enough, here you are, the woman who did it. It's just tell me a little bit about Bollywood Cowboy. I mean, first of all,
oh yeah,
you got the Sharon Stone who just was on SNL killing it.
Yeah.
And then you got the Sharon in general, who's, God bless her, just so A-list and such a queen, and probably could have used the services, God bless her, as an intimacy coordinator in some of her career. So God bless her. Tell me just about, how do you get Bollywood and Cowboy and Sharon Stone in one sentence in San Francisco?
Well, yeah, that was interesting. So,
It's amazing.
Mac Makeup, Mac Cares Bollywood, Bollywood Cowboy, Mac Cares, because there's Broadway Cares, West End Cares.
Yes, got it.
And so Mac Makeup and Bollywood Cowboy, and Pamela Anderson was hosting it. And because, there was a buzz about Bombay Dreams and Broadway, they had reached out to me to choreograph a number in the show. It was amazing because it was to one of the songs from Bombay Dreams, Shakalaka Baby, but it was probably about 60 dancers, and all the boys were in these. I mean, talk about intimacy direction. All the boys were in chaps and their bodies were painted.
Oh my God.
And so that one was with Pamela Anderson. And then not too much later, there was a collaboration between, this must have been Broadway Cares and Macy's.
Macy's, copy.
And Macy's had brought on Sharon Stone to host. So that's how we were involved with her there. They were both were a lot of fun and for, an excellent cause.
And you got to meet both those women, Pamela and queens. I can't wait to watch Pamela's documentary. I'm a huge fan. Love them both.
Both very personable, friendly, and engaged.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, Lisa, from Dolly to the Queen, from the London to New York, across Canada. I mean, it's just incredible. And we didn't even tap on we just touched the corner of your career and what you've given back to the arts and celebrating you today. And it's so inspiring. It really is, just because you're such an incredible woman, and all you've done and all you're going to continue to do and continue on in your career. I can't wait to see and hear the next stories, either through Tara or, when I see you, hopefully sometime in Vancouver. I want to go to the kind of my last little 3 questions of our podcast, and then I'll sign us off, and then we'll chit chat for just a couple minutes after. But I want to thank you for even being with me today and sharing amazing stories. And I hope for anybody listening, they took knowledge away to go, oh, I want to be a director, and I'm going to phone a director and ask if they can take me for tea and be inspired to move forward. Or a dancer who's in Chicago or in a musical and says, you know what, I want to teach choreography and take a course. Or for someone like me who was interested in the production career I had, could I add production career intimacy into my future? Either way, I think talking to you today was inspiring for other people who want to get into the arts, that there's so many avenues, and just pull your big girl pants on even when you get knocked down and persevere. So bless you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, my first little question is there something you practice to keep a healthy mind and spirit, a daily practice, weekly or monthly, just to bring mental health wellness?
Oh, what a good question. I would say anything that grounds me, like to bring to the forefront what's really important, which is your friendships, surrounding yourself with people you love and that love you. That grounds me and allows me to remember what actually is important in life.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that's so important. It's just, sometimes it can be as simple as reconnecting with a friend or talking to a loved one to keep a healthy mind and spirit and keep your mind in a positive energy as best you can. Yeah.
And playing with my dog.
Yeah, fur babies. God bless our fur babies. Oh my God.
Yeah.
My emotional therapy. I call them our emotional therapy dogs, as they are for so many reasons. Lisa, is there a woman in your life who inspires you, and why or how?
Ooh, so many. So you know what? Here's the thing. With every woman that's in my life and that I meet, there's something special and powerful that I feel that they have. And then you just have to take a second to find it, right? Where you meet and find it. And so I would say drawing inspiration from every female is available to you. It's right there. So, but you know, my mom's pretty special. She's an amazing woman with an amazing story, and quirky and funny. And over the years, people say, you know, you sound like your mother, or that's something your mother would do. And for a long time, you know, when you're younger, like, stop saying that. I'm not like my mother.
Right.
But now, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is a real compliment.
Yeah. God bless the moms, especially if we're so fortunate to have ones that inspired us, because I could say that would be my answer too, my mom. So bless that. Thank you. Lisa, if someone young was listening today and they wanted to pursue a career in the arts, is there a piece of advice you would give them?
Yeah. Call me and we'll talk.
Okay, perfect.
Because let me tell you, the advice is long.
Yeah.
You know, and it's specific. Yeah. But if I were to generalize, the piece of advice that I would give is knowledge, education, and, you know, meeting as many people as possible and learning from them, their stories, their experiences, their knowledge, their education.
Yeah.
Immersing yourself. And if you're lucky enough to have some mentors in your life, or people that are able to share the wisdom, which we all should be doing, not gatekeeping, we need to pass it forward. Like, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. As am I. I know any woman that in my life, if I needed to pick up the phone and ask a question, or, hey, Lisa, my goddaughter wants to be a director, can she call you? Absolutely. And that's absolutely part of the, you know, the amazing industry we work in. Lisa, oh my God, I can't even. We could go on and on. We didn't even break down. Like, I could go on and on, but time is valuable. And I know you're booked and busy with multiple shows. I want to thank you for joining me on ILO On Location. Clearly, we have the gift of gab. The hour has flown by.
It has flown.
Thank you so much for joining me from your home today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, my pleasure. I'll see you next time. And that's a wrap.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, honey. Thank you. Wow. Yay.
Thank you.
And that's my chat with the amazing Lisa Stevens. Thank you for joining us. We hope you had as much fun as we did. To get in touch with Lisa, please visit her website at lisastevens.biz, where you can see her incredible body of work as well as all her representation, so you can book Lisa for your next project. You can also follow Lisa on Instagram and Facebook. I'm your host, Irene Karras-Loper, and in case you're wondering who the artist is behind the music on my podcast, it's my A-list nephew, Connor Wilkinson, and you can listen to all his musical talents and follow him on Spotify, TikTok, and Instagram. His handles are at $disco_ and at passion_mango. Join me again next time as I go on location and celebrate another one of my amazing friends.